my name is Kelly, and today I'd like to present our research on the Western diet and its link to depression. This project was created by Sammy, Serina, Michael, Genesis, Ryan, Lauryn, and myself, and we are students that attend Mount San Antonio College. Next is Ryan with the introduction.
Introduction. Operational definition for variables. Western diet, defined as a dietary pattern high in processed foods, refined sugars, red meat, saturated fats, and low in fruits, vegetables, and whole grain. Depressive symptoms includes low mood, loss of interest or pleasure, fatigue, negative self-image, and may involve clinical diagnosis such as major depressive disorder. Adequate description of the findings of prior research to support funnel questions. Cause-effect relationship of variables. Cause. The Western diet causes biological disruptions in brain function, particularly in the hippocampus, which regulates emotion and memory. Effect. Long-term adherence to the Western diet is linked to cognitive decline and increased risk of depressive and anxiety symptoms. Relationship. Research shows a consistent correlation between diets high in processed foods and higher reports of depression symptoms. Poor nutrition appears to amplify pre-existing vulnerabilities in mental health. Hypothesis. Primary hypothesis. Individuals who consume a predominantly Western-style diet will report higher levels of depressive symptoms compared to individuals who follow a diet richer in whole foods, fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats. Importance of research purpose. Depression affects over 8% of American adults and contributes to serious consequences like suicide and substance abuse. Identifiable, modifiable lifestyle factors like diet can lead to preventative strategies and non-pharmaceutical treatment options. This research can enhance public awareness and inform mental health interventions focused on nutrition.
Hello, my name is Genesis Madrigal, and I'm going to be presenting the method section. For participants, we had a total of 46 participants, and they were chosen via convenience sampling from psychology classes at Cal State Fullerton College. Participants were offered extra credit for completing the survey. In our demographic sections, we had questions related to gender, ethnicity, and age, and we also provided spaces where they were able to respond if their response was not listed or self-described, and there is an open space for that. For gender, we had 4 participants that were male, 39 participants were female, and 3 participants were non-binary. The mean for gender was 1.98, and for standard deviation was 3.94. For ethnicity, we had 8 participants that were white, 2 participants that were Black, 32 participants that were Hispanic, 2 participants that were Asian Pacific Islander, 2 participants that were Native American, and 2 participants that were Hispanic and Asian mix. Our mean was 6.57, and our standard deviation was 1.36. For age, we had 6 participants that were 18, 2 participants that were 19, 2 participants that were 23, 2 participants that were 24, and 2 participants that were 45. We had 7 participants that were 20. We had 8 participants that were 21. We had 5 participants that were 22. And we had 1 participant that was the age of 25, 26, 30, 31, 36, 37, 38, 40, and 46. We had 3 participants that were 39, and the mean for age was 25.52. Standard deviation was 8.51. Materials. So researchers developed 2 original questionnaires, one designed to measure the Western diet variable and the other to assess the depression variable. Each questionnaire consisted of 10 standard items that were related completely to both variables. The 10 reverse-coded items were the complete opposite of each of the 10 standard items, and the 10 irrelevant items were items that were not related at all to the variables. Participants were able to rate each item using a 5-point Likert scale, where 1 indicated strongly disagree, 5 indicated strongly agree, and 3 represented a neutral response. For example, one of the questions was, I feel hopeless most of the time, and they were able to select 1 through 5.
Hello, my name is Michael Long. The forms used were the informed consent, demographic questions, instructions, 60-item questionnaire, debriefing statement, and participant verification. Procedures. Participants clicked a hyperlink and were directed to the title page of the study. Participants advanced through each page by clicking a Next button. After the title page, participants were guided through the informed consent page where, in order to continue participating in the study, they had to check a box to indicate that they had read the informed consent, were above the age of 18, and were volunteering to participate. After the informed consent page, participants were directed to the demographics page where they were asked their age, ethnicity, and gender. After the demographics page, participants were directed to the instructions page where they were given instructions on the questionnaire items, how to respond via a Likert scale, were reminded that their responses were anonymous, and were asked to answer as truthfully and honest as possible. After the instructions page, participants were directed to the questionnaire, where a response was required for each item before being able to proceed to the next page. Upon completing the questionnaire, participants were directed to the debriefing statement page, wherein the purpose of the study and the researcher's hypothesis was explained. Participants were provided the contact information of the research advisor. Participants clicked Next and were taken to the participant verification screen, where they were shown a unique image and instructions were given to retain a copy of the participant verification to submit to their professors if required. Once the data collection was complete, irrelevant questions were removed and reverse-coded items were recoded. Finally, a Pearson R analysis was conducted on the data to test for a correlation between Western diet and depression.
Hi, my name is Lauryn de Guzman.
Our hypothesis was as the Western diet increases, symptoms of depression also increase. However, our hypothesis was not supported. A Pearson R correlation analysis revealed that there was no significant correlation as our R value came out to be negative 0.143 and a p-value of 0.343. Our effect size was 0.020, meaning it was very small, also indicating that 2% of the variance in depression scores can be predicted from the Western diet scores, and there were no outliers or missing cases in the results. Here we have our data, which illustrates our mean standard deviation in Cronbach's alpha for our two variables, depression and the Western diet. There was a total of 20 items for each variable, and for depression, we had a minimum of 1.60 with a maximum of 4.35. Our Western diet had a minimum of 1.00 and a maximum of 4.110. Furthermore, depression had a mean of 3.0004, and the Western diet's mean was 2.8065. The depression standard deviation was 0.60322, and the Western diet standard deviation was 0.90335. Lastly, depression's Cronbach's alpha was 0.934, and the Western diet's Cronbach's alpha was 0.809. Because depression and the Western diet both had a high Cronbach's alpha value, this suggests that there was a strong correlation and consistency. Here we have our scatter plot, which did reveal linearity, but however did not reveal homoscedasticity between our two variables. Lastly, in our results, we have our histograms. Our Western diet histogram is on the left, and our depression histogram is on the right. These histograms indicate that the Western diet scores were approximately normally distributed, while the depression scores deviated from normality.
Hello, my name is Serina Balderama, and today I'll walk you through our discussion section, which covers 5 points: our hypothesis in prior studies, our actual outcome, study limitations, implications and applications, and future research. Our hypothesis was that higher consumption of a Western diet, foods rich in processed ingredients, sugars, and unhealthy fats, would be linked to increased depression symptoms. Previous research often finds that people eating more of these Western-style foods report higher scores on depression scales. In other words, past studies suggested a positive relationship between a Western diet and depressive symptoms. However, in our sample of 46 participants, we did not see a significant relationship between Western diet consumption and depression symptoms. This means that unlike earlier findings, eating more Western-style foods did not predict higher depression scores for our group. One possible explanation is that most participants had fairly similar eating patterns, which limited the variation we needed to detect a difference. It's also possible that factors we didn't measure, like how much people exercised, their sleep quality, or their stress levels, had a stronger influence on mood than diet alone. On to limitations. First, our sample size was only 46 participants, but our power analysis showed we needed around 85 to reliably detect a moderate correlation. Because of this sample, we might have missed a true diet-depression link. Second, we relied on self-report surveys for both diet and depression. Participants may have underreported unhealthy foods or downplayed symptoms, introducing bias. Third, the distribution of depression scores was right-skewed. Most people reported low to moderate symptoms. This uneven distribution made it harder to pick up on any subtle relationships between diet and depression. On to implications and applications. The fact that we did not find a direct diet-depression link does not mean diet is unimportant. Instead, it highlights that depression is influenced by multiple lifestyle factors, not just what people eat. In practice, mental health professionals should consider diet alongside sleep hygiene, exercise habits, and stress management when treating or preventing depression. For example, a clinician might recommend both nutritional guidance and sleep improvement strategies rather than focusing on diet alone. First, future research studies should examine how diet interacts with other lifestyle variables like stress, sleep quality, and physical activity to influence depression rather than studying diet in isolation. Second, researchers should recruit larger and more diverse samples, including different ages, cultural groups, and socioeconomic backgrounds, to see whether the diet-depression relationship varies across populations. Third, implementing a longitudinal study, tracking participants over months or years, and using objective measures like wearable sleep trackers or dietary biomarkers could reduce self-report bias and clarify how changes in diet impact depressive symptoms over time. That concludes our discussion section. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Sam Abdul-Sader, and this is our references section for the Western Diet Research Project. So the first one was a high-fat, high-sugar diet predicts poor hippocampal-related memory and reduced ability to suppress wanting under satiety. The second one was the influence of emphasizing psychological causes of depression on public stigma. The third one was serotonergic function, two main models of self-regulation and vulnerability to depression, what depression has in common with impulsive aggression. And the fourth one, higher reported saturated fat and refined sugar intake is associated with reduced hippocampal dependent memory and sensitivity to interceptive signals. The fifth one, nutrition and depression, collaboration between psychologists and dietitians in depression treatment. And the last one was psychological correlates of habitual diet in healthy adults.